Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades, and this is a review for the ES and NQ futures for October 15th. We're going to start off here on the ES and then hop over to the NQ after, just like normal. So anyway, this is our overnight high, this is our overnight low, these are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. So starting off, we have this push off the overnight low. We just formed it there with this resistance, and so what we have here is a downtrend with a break. So even though we're pushing off the overnight low, starting an uptrend, we have to consider that this is a break from this downtrend. This downtrend, we can expect price to attempt a new low for. Now, it ends up not really making any significant attempts, but you can still see on a smaller picture, starting from the top here, we have first attempt down and then a second attempt down. So even though it's completely sideways, just based off the bodies, the colors of the bodies, we can see that price made 2 attempts at a new low before pushing on higher. Now, it's too choppy to, base a trade off of, so we can't just enter long here after we see these 2 attempts down. It's way too sideways. We want to see something clear, but that is technically what's happening there. And so when we push up, it goes all the way up to the overnight high. Not quite, it's about a tick off or so, but the point is we go to the other side, and so this downtrend, these 2 small attempts was enough for this downtrend, as far as playing it out. That was enough for it to reverse higher. And so anyway, it pushes on up here. Now this uptrend right here has a break and a new high. And so the other thing I want to point out about these 2 legs down here that you can see is it's technically a 2-legged break from this uptrend. So uptrend, 2-legged break, push up to a new high. And so that's how you get that 2-legged move there. Now, when we reach the overnight high, this is obviously a common reversal area. It acts like a range. When you come off one side, you can expect price to reach the other side, going back and forth. But we don't really get anything clear. It just goes sideways and slowly breaks out of this channel that's forming, continues to go sideways. I eventually extended the lows here, but at first it was obviously right there because that's where it started chopping at first, and then as price pierces through, we can look to slowly extend it. So we have these 2 legs down here. Now we have an uptrend with a 2-legged break, so uptrend, break, we can expect price to attempt a new high, and so we can look to get long to make a new high. Now here it starts going completely sideways, and then this bar is obviously matching with that chop right there, so I didn't really want to enter right there. It was just a bit choppy, so I wanted something a little bit more clear. I wanted to see a clear push up and then a hold above the EMA. One thing that we could have caught was a push up and then 2 legs back with room to the highs for a long, but in this case here we push up, we form this higher low, which has a very bearish bar right before it and then can't get above the EMA, and so I did not like that there. Now on this bar here, it does look good to enter with a limit order, but I didn't like how this inside bar formed right after, so I ended up skipping it. Because you would need a limit order with enough room to these highs, and by the time it's already closing another bar, not triggering, that just shows it's continuing with this chop. It's just wanting to go sideways. It's kind of just staying within this sideways action, and it's not really wanting to have any bullish momentum. So even though we met this measured move right here, it just didn't form anything good after this higher low. And so anyway, we push on lower here. Actually, before I go into that, I do want to point out, so even though it's choppy and even though it's not very clear, price action still held the same. So we have this first leg up, so uptrend, 2-legged break, and then after that 2-legged break, price made 2 attempts at a new high before reversing on down. So it always holds the same, even if it's choppy. You can learn to read through the chop, and that's what's happening here. Uptrend, 2-legged break, 2 attempts at a new high, and then a failure, and that failure pushed us out of this range and pushed us lower into a downtrend. So starting off, we get this first leg down, second leg down, so a clear 2-legged move down to the overnight low. And so let me draw out that measured move here. And as you can see, price found resistance at the overnight low, which is right where this measured move was. And so this is a great place for a reversal pattern. If price pushes above the trend line right here in the EMA, we can look to get long on a failed second entry. Price pushes up, makes 2 legs back, we can look to get long on a failed second entry. And so as you can see, that does not happen here. Now, even though we have a third bounce right here off this trend line, we still cannot go short because we're right into that overnight low level and also, of course, the measured move level. So nothing to take there. We continue on lower. We break out of the overnight low. Great place to see 2 legs back holding on the overnight low in order to continue with the short, because if price breaks out of a level, an overnight level, a range level, we need to see 2 attempts to fade before buying the breakout, or in this case, shorting the breakout. And so it just doesn't happen here. It just continues on lower, overshoots the trend, and then goes into a new thinner trend. And so this trend, obviously, I was extending the highs as it formed, and then it eventually ended on this. And then here we get a sharp break. Now this break retests that previous trend level, that lower trend line. And so, we can look to get a short off that, but we don't have two clear legs retesting it. We just have one leg, so it's just a first entry, got well above the EMA, not ideal for a short. And so it pushes lower here, and then we get our second leg up. This is what, excuse me, this is why we want to see two attempts retesting this level right here. Price moves after pairs of twos, second entries form all over the chart, and this first entry was just not enough. So that's why I ended up making a big picture second entry. So first entry short, second entry short. That's what we have here. Right at that measured move, price started pushing on lower. Now, given the context, the reversal context, I wanted to see it get below the EMA and actually hold below before entering short. Now, even though it closed below here, this was just way too massive of an entry. Because even though this downtrend right here got a break and we can expect price to attempt a new low, we have to expect it to get through all of that resistance right there, go through the channel, which I was not wanting to do, especially given how much it chopped around it right there. So that did not seem like an ideal trade. As you can see, it ends up working out. It pushes down there, but you don't know that it's going to do that in the moment. So anyway, we push on lower here. We get this first leg down, break, push down to a new low. So this is the start of a new downtrend right here. Even though it's the break from this downtrend, so downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, it is still its own trend on a smaller picture. So downtrend, break, you can see first attempt lower, then we have a correction up, and then a small second attempt lower before pushing higher. And so nothing to take here. It got way too choppy. Nothing to take for a long, but it pushes up, makes a double top, and then pushes on lower. Now, price formed a failed second entry right here. As you can see, it's a first entry long, second entry long, failure. But I didn't want to enter short right after price closed above the EMA and held on this trend line. And also with this downtrend having a break and a new low already. So overall, it just did not set up perfectly for a failed second entry. Overall, we were very bearish. And it does end up working here, but another thing that you'd have to do is push it past the measured move and these lows right here. So there's all sorts of reasons that you'd want to avoid this trade right here. So that's why I didn't take it. Now we continue on lower here. We go into this downtrend. So clear downtrend, pushing out the lows of this range. And as soon as we push out, it goes a little bit choppy and then starts fading in. So this is a good place to look for a long, because when you break out of a range, you can expect price to fade back in. Now, what we'd want to see is a reversal pattern. Ideally, how it would form is a push up and then two clear legs back. But that just doesn't happen here. What we get is an uptrend with a break and a new high. Now, there are times when I don't mind taking failed second entries, where it already has a break and a new high. But considering the context here, the overall context has been very bearish all day. And so I wanted to see a clear failed second entry, not one that already has a break and a new high, and then a complete bear bar closing right before the entry. So this was just not ideal. It does end up working, as you can see, but it's really not worth taking. So it was very dry on the ES today. The NQ was better, but really just nothing on the ES for me today. So we push on lower here. We break out of the range lows again, a small retest before continuing lower. And as you can see, that is the second big picture leg after the downtrend break. So downtrend, break, and then it chopped around for a bit with this push down and push up. And then the real first attempt at a new low stemmed from right here. Downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, and the measured move has been met with a perfect bullish reaction to it. As soon as it met it, just immediately started spiking up. I can't say how long that will last. Maybe it'll end up pushing on through. If price does push through to the downside, then what I'd like to see is a two-legged retest of that measured move level in order to continue short. But we'll see what happens. It might go into a full-on reversal pattern, which if it does, you can look for a long, even though it's very bearish all day, because the main downtrend has a break and two measured legs to a new low. So if we push up, make a failed second entry holding above, this range right here, as long as it sets up good, then you can still look to go long. So, pardon the construction noise in the background. So anyway, back here, here's the NQ. So we're done with the ES. Here's the NQ now. So this is our overnight high. This is our overnight low, our key levels for the day. Same concept as before. And again, I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. And so overnight high, overnight low, we're pushing off these lows. We're going into this uptrend right here. So, the ES and the NQ at the beginning of the day, they looked quite different from each other. The NQ is going into this uptrend here, but back on the ES, it started off with, it's more just like a spike up, a break, and then one push to a new high. It's not like a clear uptrend like it is here on the NQ. And so we have this uptrend pushing up to the highs. This was right at the market open right here. It's like at 828. So I'm not going to move the overnight high up to there. So price pushes out and then immediately fades back in. And that pushes us into a break of this uptrend. So now we have an uptrend with a break, which we can expect price to attempt a new high. And it makes our 2 attempts at a new high. And so first attempt higher, second attempt higher, very typical to see that happen because again, price action forms second entries all over the place, but they don't form out of for no reason. They form because price is attempting to do things. In this case here, it wants to make a new high. Price made 2 attempts, and then it was successful on that second attempt, and then reversed on down with the overnight fade. And so as we push lower here, great place for a failed second entry. It's an amazing reversal area. So a failed second entry is really the way to go. But as we push lower here, it immediately just gets choppy after the break of this push down. And so, unfortunately, we don't get a clear short entry here. We just get a downtrend with a break and a new low, basically just making a little 2-legged move down before pushing on higher again. Now, excuse me, when we fade back down here and we get these 2 legs down, these are our 2 attempts to reverse off the overnight high. And since it held up right here, making this double bottom, this is the first sign of a bullish imbalance. Okay, so if you're on one side of a range, okay, this overnight range, and price can't get to the lower side, that is the sign of a bullish imbalance, because when you come off one side, you expect price to reach the other side. That's how ranges work. So if you already get your 2 attempts to reach the other side and it can't even get halfway, then that's a clear bullish imbalance. And so right from here, we have a spike up. One thing that could happen is we break out of the overnight high and then get 2 attempts to fade back in, forming a failed second entry, and then look to get long on the breakout. But we would need 2 attempts to fade in order to do that, and then by the time we push out, we're already getting our attempt and it's pushing back in. So we don't quite get that. Now, as you can see, with this break right here, there's a short right here, except it's a no fill. And so price attempted to push back out, and then as it starts fading back down, and this can be difficult to spot if you don't understand larger price action structures, but this uptrend now has a break and 2 bigger picture attempts at a new high. So at first, how I explained it was we have these 2 attempts higher right here for this uptrend, but this is clearly very thin and it's one leg on a bigger picture. And so with this break right here, this failed reversal turns into the bigger picture break after this push up. So now it's uptrend, break, first attempt higher, and then just a little break from this push up, and then we get a second attempt higher. So as more price action forms, bigger picture structures form. This reversal, it could have gone on down and then never made that bigger picture attempt, and then these 2 attempts would have been it for the uptrend. But since this reversal down failed, we have to look for larger structures and combine these legs into one leg, so that way it's clear to see the 2-legged move on a bigger picture. So anyway, as we push lower right here, we've made a new high. We have 2 attempts at a new high. Successful, it's successfully made. It's already pushing back down into the overnight low, the overnight high. So this is a good reversal area. Now, when we push lower here, we just get this lower high. You can kind of see a couple legs back there, technically making a failed second entry, but it's really just a downtrend with a break, so a lower high, and then a push below the EMA. I only liked it after it closed out of this trend line right here because, again, we had a bullish imbalance forming, so I didn't want to take any risks here, especially with it trying to get back above the overnight high right there. And so I only liked it after it closed out right here, but obviously price never came back to fill our limit orders on that, so it's a no-fill trade. So anyway, we push on lower here, we go into this thin downtrend. Small break, push to a new low outside of the overnight low, and then it just gets choppy. Again, when you break out of an overnight level, you want to wait for 2 attempts to fade before buying the breakout. Again, shorting the breakout in this case. So if we push lower here and get 2 legs back retesting it, we can look for a short. And overall, that would form a failed second entry, but we just don't get that here. So price continues on down. We go, we start to overshoot this trend right here and then go into this thinner trend, and eventually that breaks, and a similar thing happens as on the ES. Price starts reacting to this lower trend line right here, but it's just one leg up, so you can't take a short there. You want to see 2 legs, and then eventually we get this 2-legged move up. So measured move is met. As soon as the measured move is met, it immediately starts pushing below. Great place, which, hold on a sec, this trend line kind of got out of place. So as soon as that measured move is met, price started pushing below. Great place for a failed second entry, push below with a couple legs back for a short, but it just doesn't happen. So we get this lower high, but it's pushed well above the EMA. It's not holding off of anything, so I don't want to take that there. But it does push down, and we get this 2-legged move down. So from here, right here, stemming from this low, we have a failed second entry. First entry short, second entry short failure. So a big picture failed second entry. However, again, it is very bearish at this point, and so I wanted to see price push above and then hold above the EMA, because there isn't any real support right here. Yeah, you are making that double bottom, but this swing only formed from the break of this small uptrend, and so the way I view it is it could just be a coincidence holding there, and it's only holding because of that measured move, which is alone not enough to enter based off of, especially given how bearish the whole day is. And so that's why I did not enter there. I just wanted to see price hold above, make a swing holding above. I didn't want to just chance it taking a large trade right there for 1-to-1. So anyway, it looks like it would have worked, but that doesn't mean it'll work out next time. I wanted to wait on something more safe. Price pushes up, it attempts that new high, and then it only makes a double top before pushing on lower here. So when it holds right there, it's very clear that we're going into a range. We have the 2 holds off the lows, we have 2 holds off the highs, the EMA is completely flat, and we're starting to push lower here. And so overall, the bears are winning out. Price was unable to reverse right here off this big picture failed second entry, and so we need to look to continue short. Now price pushes lower here, and then we make this lower high. Now I like this trade right here, even though it's into this trend line right here, and that's because, unlike in the same area on the ES, which I am going to compare this area to the ES in a sec, we actually get a bearish reaction with the measured move still in play, with room to the lows. And again, even though this trend line is formed right here, this is right after a failure for this uptrend right here, a failure at a new high. So again, uptrend, 2-legged break, first attempt at a new high, second attempt at a new high, and then it just rushed below the EMA, closing on its low, again, with room to the lows, with room to the measured move that's currently in play. So this was a great failure entry, and the overall context beats out this trend line that's forming here. Price is clearly not wanting to go higher. We had our chance at a reversal. This is a reversal area right here. It was unable to get higher than the previous high, and then has a very bearish reaction on the second attempt up. So that's why I like this trade so much here. Now I'm going to compare this to the ES really quick, because this area right here was around here on the ES. Again, this was the failed second entry I didn't like. One thing, I actually might have forgotten to mention it, but the concern in the moment was we have a first leg down, break, and then second leg down, which means that we have this measured move right here, but then also this larger measured move. Let me copy that over again. Excuse me, sorry. Let me just unclutter this. I'm kind of all over the place. We would have to push our target past that smaller measured move and also this larger measured move and the lower trend line. So there's way too much stuff to push price through here. So that's why I didn't like it. Even with a limit order, if price had pushed up and filled you with a limit order way further back, then yeah, you would have another chance because you'd close below. But by the time you tick below here, you're already so close to these lows. Once it touches it, you can't expect it to back up and fill you because it's come off one side, now it's expected to reach the other side. So if price reaches the low of a range, you can't enter with a limit order expecting it to continue dropping back down because the range rules are in play once it reaches that low. So anyway, had to push it past that measured move, but right here on the NQ, we had plenty of room to the measured move. The measured move was working for us, not against us. And so, I really like this trade here. It was annoying when it backed up right freaking there. That, believe me, that was annoying, but it did end up coming on down again. Great looking trade. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Don't worry about it. Don't get out at break even just because it's backing up on you. As long as you are confident in your trade, then you should just stay in it. So anyway, we push on lower here. We break out of this low. Now this range has a break, and we can expect price to fade back in. And so we start pushing up, or I shouldn't say we should expect it to fade back in. We should expect it to attempt to fade back in, is what I mean to say. And so we push on up here. Great place for a failed second entry. This uptrend gets a break and a push up to a new high, so that's considered played out, and then it makes 2 attempts to reverse. Now, I did not like going long right here. Just considering this uptrend already played out, and then with these 2 legs, the second leg is not very significant compared to the first leg, and it's getting all sideways right here, matching up again right there. Not ideal. I would have liked to see price push up more and have 2 clear legs holding, not 1 clear leg and then a smaller leg that again is going sideways. So it just was not a perfect reversal pattern, especially given just how bearish it was all day. So nothing there. Pushes up, makes this little double top, and then continues on down. And so we could be going into some, wider downtrend like this. We'll see how this holds. It could get a couple legs back up to it and continue short there. So we'll see what happens. It's also into this smaller downtrend. If we get a couple legs back, then let me just draw this up here. If we get a couple legs back, then we can look to go short. First entry long, second entry long, failure. Look to get short on the second leg down and continue the wider downtrend. So, that's just a possibility. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I really hope it helped out, and thanks for watching. Although before I go, I will say, with the site, I am now doing the hourly posts again. I used to do them a long time ago, but then it kind of got overwhelming, so I started doing them at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and noon Central Time. But now I'm doing the hourly posts again. Basically how it's working is so it's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and noon, and then the EOD later. But how I'm doing it is it's a 30-minute window for each post. So for instance, the 9 a.m. post may be anywhere between 8:45 and 9:15. That way it's just easier on me because, when I'm trying to do a chart update, like directly on the hour, sometimes I'll lose track of time or I'll be focusing on my own trading, and sometimes it would just be difficult to post right on the hour when I'm trying to focus on my own trading, and then I would always do posts late and stuff like that, and then it was kind of just, it wasn't really working out perfect. But if you like the hourly post, just understand that from now on it might be anywhere between 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after the hour, just for my own convenience. And that way I can focus on my own trading, but I can also post on the site as much as possible and give as many chart updates throughout the session. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.